Have you ever been so excited about a present that you couldn't wait for your birthday morning to open it? Well, I have. But first, do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn the notification for more amazing stories. Rand when I was little. I'd always get in trouble for it because my present would be ruined if I opened it too early. But there was this one time when my parents surprised me with something extraordinary. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was an enormous book bigger than a suitcase with a lock on it. My parents said it was a special delivery from a very special place. The box was beautifully wrapped in silver paper and tied with a velvet red bow. Underneath the bow was a small card that read, "Don't open this until birthday." Well, I did, and what happened next was pure magic. As soon as I opened the box, the books inside began to move. They tumbled over each other, trying to escape. At first, I was scared, but then they started talking. "Help me, please," they cried. "We need your help to finish our stories." Startled, I fell backward onto the floor. What did I do? I asked, afraid that I had somehow caused these magical books to come alive. "You didn't do anything," said one of the books, "but we need your help now more than ever. We are the lost library of living legends, and without your help, we may never become complete." And with that, the book scurried away from me and hid under the desk. Then I saw a tiny book no bigger than my hand. It had emerald green covers and a silver clasp. As I picked it up, its pages fluttered and whispered, "Please don't be scared. We mean you no harm. We just need your assistance to finish our tailies so that we can go back to being ordinary books." Reassured by its tiny voice, I agreed to help them. First, I reached for the biggest book. It was covered in leather, and its pages were filled with pictures of fantastical creatures and epic battles. As I touched the cover, images flashed through my mind, and I knew instantly that this book was a legend in itself. Its name was Chronicles of Eldoria, and it told the story of a young princess who had to flee her homeland after her evil uncle, the Grand Duke, had usurped the throne. Now an outcast, she must seek the help of mythical creatures in order to defeat the Grand Duke and reclaim her birthright. But this book was missing its ending. And so I became the author, writing down everything I imagined the princess might encounter on her journey home, all the challenges she would have to overcome, and all the friends she would make along the way. As I wrote, the room around me seemed to shift and change. I could feel the wind whipping through my hair and hear the clash of swords as the princess and her allies battled against the Grand Duke's forces. I raced through forests and climbed mountains, all while staying safely within the pages of the book. When I finally reached the castle, I wrote how the princess outsmarted her uncle and reclaimed her rightful place on the throne. Then, with a flourish, I added a few extra chapters detailing the many adventures she had during her reign. When I finished, I felt exhausted. It was as if I had lived the entire story myself. Closing the book, I heard a chorus of cheers. "Well done," they cried. "You have saved us." But then the smallest book spoke up. "I'm afraid our story still isn't finished. You haven't helped me yet." Opening the emerald green book, I found that it was filled with blank pages. "What do I do?" I asked. The book sighed. "You must write my story now. It is time for you to become the hero." And with that, the book vanished. Confused and scared, I ran to the Chronicles of Eldoria for help. But it was no longer there. In fact, all the other books had vanished too. only the emerald green book remained. Taking a deep breath, I sat down and began to write. Once upon a time, I started, reliving the moment I had opened the box and discovered the talking books. As I wrote, the words seemed to flow from me effortlessly. I wrote about the lost library of living legends and their quest to find a hero who could help them finish their stories. I wrote about how I had chosen the Chronicles of Eldoria to help me first, and how I had worked together with its princess to defeat the evil Grand Duke. But as I wrote, I knew that I had to be careful. If I made the story too easy, the books might lose their purpose. So I added challenges for my hero to overcome, battles to win, and puzzles to solve. As I wrote, I could feel the excitement building within me. This was more than just a story. It was an adventure, and I wanted my hero to succeed. Finally, I reached the end. I wrote about how my hero had completed all the tasks and earned the respect of the books. Then, with a final flourish, I added a postscript saying that my hero had gone on to have many more adventures. When I finished, the room around me began to shake. The emerald green book glowed brightly, and I knew that it was time for me to close the story. Taking a deep breath, I closed the book. The shaking stopped, and the room was silent. Slowly, the emerald green book began to shrink. In a matter of seconds, it went from being the size of a house to being no bigger than my hand once again. Opening it, I found that it was no longer blank, but instead contained the story I had written. Then, to my surprise, I heard a voice. "Thank you," it said. "You have saved us." Looking around, I saw that all the other books were back. They were lined up neatly under the Christmas tree, and each one had its own story to tell. The Chronicles of Eldoria was in front. "You have done well," it boomed. "Now it is time for you to go on your own adventure." And with that, it and all the other books vanished. As the room began to change once again, I realized that I was no longer in my bedroom. I was outside, standing in front of a huge castle. In the distance, I could see rolling hills and sparkling rivers. It was everything I had imagined and more. Taking a deep breath, I walked toward the castle. I knew that my adventure was just beginning. As I explored the castle, I met all sorts of interesting characters. There was a wise old wizard who taught me how to control my powers, a brave knight who trained me in the art of combat, and a beautiful princess who became my best friend. Together, we went on many adventures, battling evil wizards, rescuing damsels in distress, and exploring uncharted lands. I learned how to be a true hero, always helping those in need and standing up for what was right. But I also learned that being a hero wasn't just about fighting bad guys. It was also about making friends and having fun. I had so much fun playing with my new friends that I didn't want the adventure to end. But all good things must come to an end. And eventually, it was time for me to go home. As I stood at the portal, ready to return to my own world, I turned to my friends and thanked them for everything they had taught me. They had shown me the meaning of courage, kindness, and friendship. It was birthday morning, and I couldn't wait to open my presents. But I knew that no gift could ever be as exciting as the ones I had already received. The books had taught me more than just how to be a hero. They had taught me the importance of friendship, bravery, and kindness. And I knew that I would carry those lessons with me for the rest of my life. As I ripped open my presents, I couldn't help but smile. Even the smallest gift seemed like a treasure. But I knew that the real treasures were the friends I had made and the adventures I had lived through. I had learned that being a hero wasn't about having superpowers or winning battles. It was about being kind, helping others, and never giving up. And I knew that I could be a hero in my own world, too. All I had to do was remember the lessons I had learned from the lost library of living legends. And so, with a heart full of joy and a mind full of adventure, I set out to make my own story. For I knew that I was not just a character in someone else's tale. I was the hero of my own. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. For now, have a good day.